The Caribbean monk seal. The Caribbean monk seal was located in the Caribbean Sea. The monk seal went extinct nearly 70 years ago, as there has not been a sighting since 1952. The monk seal lived in the coral reef biome. This biome has an average temperature range of 68 to 82 degrees Fahrenheit, which is great for supporting a wide spectrum of biodiversity, as nearly 25% of the ocean life lives in these reefs. The coral reef relies heavily on the health and well-being of the plant-based organisms such as plankton, algae, and coral. Being at the lowest part of the food chain, these organisms are the most important part for survival of all species in the reef. Going up the food chain, starting at the bottom with the plant organisms, we have the primary consumers, the Christmas tree worm, and the bat-winged crab. Next, the secondary consumers, the parrotfish and the spotted eagle ray. Then, green moray eel and strawberry grouper that are considered secondary and tertiary consumers. And finally, at the top of the food chain, the Caribbean reef shark and the monk seal. Since the monk seal went extinct in the 1950s, some minor changes have occurred in its coral reef biome. Due to global warming, there has been an increase in the average temperature in the oceans, as well as an increase in salinity. The problem this poses for the monk seal is that the coral reef is dramatically affected by this increase in salinity. Since the coral reef is made up of calcium deposits, the extra salinity eats away at the coral and slowly kills the reef. This poses a threat to the seal's food and diet. The extinction of the monk seal was due to human greed. With a booming market in the 1950s, monk seals were hunted down by the hundreds. Some monk seal products included blubber that was used as oil to grease machinery, the furs and hides used to clothing, blankets and other accessories, and finally the meat for consumption. Humans hunted down these seals to extinction in only a few short decades. Due to the monk seals' extremely calm and non-aggressive behavior, as well as their very sluggish and clunky movements on land, hunters were able to easily kill these seals as they rested, nursed their pups, and during the birthing process. Besides the consistent killing of the seal, the monk seal also had a very slow breeding process, as it took a full year for a single pup to be born. This makes for an extremely low population growth. The average gestation period was about 11 months for the seals, and only on very rare occasions was more than one pup born. Females were able to give birth once a year, with the average pup weighing in at 30 pounds and having an average length of 2.5 feet. Other reasons for the seal's extinction was the imbalance in sex within the species. The monk seal's population was heavily male, causing the imbalance in breeding. Before the intervention of humans, the monk seal was a powerful predator in the Caribbean Sea, with some features that were great for survival. The seal's first tool was their sharp, jagged teeth that were able to rip through muscle, flesh, and shells. They also had a large, diverse diet. This allowed them to find food much easier and faster than other animals. To go along with this, the monk seal was able to dive down to deep depths for long periods of time in search of food. Next, the seal was a large animal with top weights of almost 600 pounds and a length of 8 feet. As for their best quality, being at the top of the food chain, since the monk seal only really had one predator, the Caribbean shark, and before humans came along, the seal did not have to worry about much. If the monk seal was placed back into its natural habitat today, after nearly 70 years of extinction, the impact would be mild on the ecosystem, biome, and surrounding life. As the monk seal's diet consisted of reef fish, lobsters, octopus, and eels, there would be a possible strain on the resources and organisms in the coral reef. Since the monk seal would have a very slow and steady population increase due to the long gestation period, this would give the surrounding life time to adapt to the new predator in the biome. Being one of the top predators in the biome is actually beneficial to the ecosystem, with the seal having a large variety of organisms to choose from as a food source. This could distribute the amount of stress on each species, making the impact of the monk seal a lot less. With the reintroduction of the monk seal, this also poses the threat of reintroducing the disease and symbiotic relationship the seal shared during its life. This disease was called Ciguatera, which led to the death of many seals and had been caused by the seal's consumption of toxic fish. The seal also had a parasitic relationship with the nasal mite, which went extinct with the monk seal. The seal was not really affected by this parasite and was found in seals of all ages. In order for the survival to be feasible for the de-extinct monk seal, it must undergo a few adaptations. To start off, the monk seal must have an increased overall speed. In the seas, the seal would venture far from its home, making it an easy target for hunters and other predators. By increasing its speed, it will make the chance for survival much greater, as they are able to avoid being killed in the open waters. As for land, the monk seal was very slow, making them easy to hunt. If they are able to make a swift escape to the waters before being hunted, this will keep up a steady population. Next, the seal needs heightened senses and increased aggression. This goes hand in hand with the speed on land. With early threat detection, the monk seal can avoid having its calm attitude exploited and resulting in their death. Finally, the monk seal needs shortened breeding periods. Since only one pup is able to be born each year per female, this makes it hard to increase the population size of the seal. By shortening the time it takes to have pups, this will help grow the species faster. As for any invasive species in the coral reef, the biggest threats are the lionfish and a fast-growing algae called sargasso. The lionfish is an extremely poisonous fish that, if mistaken for food, could lead to the deaths of many monk seals. As for sargasso, this isn't just a threat to the monk seal, but all reef life. The algae grows over the coral and smothers it. This deprives the coral from sunlight, which is its energy and life source. Without energy, the coral begins to die, and so do any living organisms that depend on the coral reef. So will the monk seal really survive? If these adaptations of increased speed, aggression, and shortened gestation periods, there is a very strong possibility for the chance of survival in modern times. With faster gestation periods and the increased survival of adults in the monk seal population, the species should flourish and have a very gradual, positive population increase. Also, since the market for seal is extremely low, with most countries banning the purchasing of seal, this should help protect the monk seal in the modern world. In the end, it is really up to the humans if the seal will survive. Hunters originally took the monk seal out of this world, and they can do it again. It is us who must change, not the seals.